Welcome to the High Vibe Soul Podcast, a space where we discuss personal growth, spirituality, motherhood, relationships, and shifting old paradigms so that you can live your most authentic, soul-aligned life. I'm your host, Lyndsey, and I founded the High Vibe Soul Company to empower women and support them in becoming their highest, brightest selves. From my light to yours, I am so grateful you're here. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is another mini episode, which I'm really enjoying creating these. Let me know if you're liking the shorter ones. We're going to talk all about owning your power. And in honor of this, I'm wearing my divine feminine necklace. Goddess Isis, if you know, you know. What does owning your power mean? We're going to talk about my definitions, and I'm just going to share my feelings on this and hopefully really inspire you and get you excited and get you amped up for this year and owning your power as a woman, because the divine feminine is rising. This is our time. I've never been more excited to be a woman as I am right now. So what does owning your power mean? To me, this means reminding yourself that you are the co-creator of your life. You're never a victim. Anything that happens is for your growth and your evolution. And you can choose to be the victim, or you can choose to be the victor. There's always a choice in how you react in all situations. And this might trigger some people because a lot of us have been through some really dark, hard times. And there's a lot of darkness in the world right now. And I'm not oblivious to that. And I'm also not immune to it. Believe me, I've been through some really difficult, awful things in my life. But you have a choice in how you'd like to react, how you'd like to respond, and rising above and transforming and transmuting the experience and becoming a higher version of yourself through it all. And I fully believe that our souls are always guiding us. The divine is always guiding us. And sometimes we're put in these really horrific, challenging situations because we're meant to learn a specific lesson, or we're meant to have some sort of growth challenge. There's something in it that our soul wants to go through, learn, understand. And again, I know that can be really triggering, but that's how I feel. When I was meditating on this episode, I have one family member who I was thinking of where everyone else is the issue. She's always the victim. She gets her feelings hurt over anything and everything, and it's never her. It's everyone else. There are people who have decided to stop speaking to her and or limited their communication with her, like me, and she's just confused. Because she's not the problem. She's just stuck in poor me victim mode, no matter if it's something big or small. I also see this in a lot of subtler ways with actually school moms. I heard this mom complaining about how hectic her schedule is and how she has to drive her kids all around. And she's going on and on. Actually, I think it was this winter. She's going on and on about, her daughter is doing cheer camp and her son's doing football, and it's just so much driving and this and that. It's exhausting. And I wanted to be like, okay, well, first off, you've created this because your kids are little. They're in first grade and pre-K. They don't need to be doing any of this. You're allowing it, fine, but then you don't get to complain about your schedule. You are dictating the activities at this stage in their lives, and you've chosen to do these travel sports, and you've chosen to do 3 times a week cheerleading for your daughter. They're not in high school begging to do it. As the mom, you get to curate the schedule. So if it's too hectic, sorry, but that's on you. I also just think this is how some people are. They're just stuck in victim mode. So it would probably be anything for this particular mom, and we're not close. I don't know her that well. But I do kind of dread being around her because I know she's always going to be complaining about something. So owning your power is about being the co-creator of your life and recognizing that power And it's okay to have those moments where you get stuck in victim mode. It happens to all of us, to be sure. And I have days where I'm like, I'm just going to have a wallow in self-pity day where everything's going wrong and I'm crying and I'm like, we're just gonna let ourselves feel our feels and just move through it. And then tomorrow I'm gonna pick myself back up and I'm gonna put on my big girl pants and I'm gonna get back to who I really am. Owning your power to me also means having sovereignty. Sovereignty means not giving your power away. It means you trust your intuition, you trust your soul knowing. 2020 really opened a lot of our eyes with sovereignty for sure. And I don't need to go into details about that. I'm sure you know what I'm alluding to. It was very, very eye-opening for me. I personally realized where I'd given my power away so many times. I have always been a bit of not a bit. I've been a questioner my whole life for sure. Like I remember being a kid and wondering, well, why do we have to do that thing? It's like because I said so. But I just wanted to understand why. Why is this the process? Or what's the why behind the what? And I kind of let that go as I got a little bit older. And gosh, I remember this one situation where I was 23 or 24. I was recently moved to LA and I was taking time off work, which I had very little time off work in fashion, to go to this dentist. It was like this bougie dentist in Brentwood that everyone recommended. And I hadn't been a great flosser, but the dentist said I needed some sort of treatment or they wouldn't clean my teeth without this treatment. And the treatment was like a crazy amount of money, like $1,500 for my gums. And my gums were not bad. And I was just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. I've already taken off work. I just need to like get this cleaning. And I just totally give my power away. I didn't ask any more questions. And I was just like, oh, okay. And spent the money and called my parents crying, like, I don't have the money to pay for this. I'll never forget that. That was so sad. They completely took advantage of me. But at the same time, I gave my power away. I was not being sovereign at all. I didn't ask any questions. I just went with what they said. And that's really easy with our medical system. I do not do that anymore, that's for sure. All of my offices and gosh, I feel like my midwife group and my OB group, they probably dread seeing me because I'm always pushing back on everything. Like, no, I'm not going to get an extra ultrasound just because I'm over 40. I'll get one if I medically need one, just stuff like that. Sovereignty is so important. And this is something that we really need to be teaching our children now more than ever because things are getting real fuzzy with AI and government, all of it. Part of sovereignty, too, something I see a lot of women where they're giving their power away really subtly. It's like asking ChatGPT, how should I respond to someone? When you are fully capable of tuning into your heart and crafting your response. It's just so important that we, one, do our own research. We don't just go along with whatever, like I said, a doctor or somebody says just because they have a degree or because that's their protocol. Do your own research and really feel into your own heart and intuition. Is this the right choice for me? And in all things. But ChatGPT is a huge one right now. I think this is going to get worse and worse. And there's actual neuroscience I was reading about when you start giving your power away to ChatGPT, just how it makes your brain all kind of fuzzy. Just don't do it. Obviously use it when you need to, but don't just ask it questions all day. Ask it to craft responses for you. You don't need to do that. People need to hear what your soul, your heart wants to say, not ChatGPT. Owning your power also means setting boundaries. This is knowing what are my values and then sticking to them. Because how can you cultivate your own self-trust if you're allowing your boundaries to be compromised? If you've decided, I'm not going to accept this behavior or this way of being spoken to by my friend, my coworker, my spouse, or you've decided, I no longer want to be involved in gossip. It doesn't feel good for me. I don't want to do it anymore. You have to stick to that, even if it feels uncomfortable. And you have to say something like, I'm just not available for this conversation. Or maybe you just walk away or you change the subject. Regardless, however you do so, you need to honor yourself and honor the promises and the boundaries that you've made for yourself. Because boundaries are self-love. Boundaries are self-care. if you've realized I'm spending way too much time scrolling social media, like I said before, put on your big girl pants. It's time to limit your social media to, say, 15 minutes a day. How can you honor that? How can you set that boundary for yourself and stick to it? I think back to when I was a postpartum doula, and I will never forget this client. She was so sweet, and she had just had a C-section, and she was so nervous about her mother-in-law coming into town to stay with them because her mother-in-law expected this was her second baby. And so she knew, regardless of the circumstance, my mother-in-law always expects that she's the guest, and I'm like making dinner and taking care of her. And I was like, look, I mean this with so much love, but you have to hold a boundary. You cannot, your mother-in-law cannot expect to come in and be taken care of as a guest 2 weeks after you had a C-section. That's crazy. You might need to just say, okay, now's not the time for your in-laws to be coming into town if they can't understand that. And I don't know what happened. She never told me what the outcome was of that situation. My guess would be they probably still came in, and she probably still took care of them as a guest. I hope that she held her boundaries, but I feel like she would have told me if she did. So that's just one example of where we get really soft with owning our power. Another piece of owning our power as a woman, especially, means releasing people pleasing. And if there is one area that I still struggle with from time to time, this is absolutely it. It's letting go of the need for approval and validation from other people. This all kind of goes hand in hand. This has been a huge life lesson for me. I've talked about it on many of the podcasts if you've been listening. I really just stepped into this in my like mid, even late 30s. I'm about to be 42. I'm definitely a recovering people pleaser as an empath, and especially when I was a little empath child, where you can just feel how everyone else feels about you and feel everyone's energy, and you just want everyone to be comfortable, so you end up putting their needs ahead of your own. You essentially you end up abandoning yourself. And especially if that's a pattern you saw with your mom or your grandparent, your grandmother, the women in your family, a lot of times we adopt it that way too. But it's not doing you or anyone else any favors to contort yourself and twist yourself to make them feel comfy. I know for me, part of my purpose here, I am an activator for people. A lot of times I will say something and it's like a key unlocking for people, whether it's in my sessions or this podcast, meditations, day to day, whatever it may be. I've gotten that insight so many times intuitively. It's like a key that unlocks things for people. If I'm twisting and contorting what I actually feel like I'm supposed to say, I'm not unlocking anything. And sometimes I'm meant to trigger people, and that's okay. You don't need anyone else's approval. And you certainly don't need anyone else's approval to be enough or worthy. But don't forget who you are. You are a spark of source, of God, universe, whatever you resonate with. You are a soul in a human body playing the earth game. You don't need to do more to be loved because love is not conditional. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You just need to live in alignment with your soul and with who you came here to be and with what feels good and true for you. And as a human, remind yourself it's okay to express my needs. It's okay to disagree. In fact, it makes the world more interesting if we can just do it in a more loving way, I would say. And you're allowed to say no. As I tell my kids all the time, no is a complete sentence. This was huge for me after I had my second child. I just realized I couldn't keep going to all the things that actually kind of drained me. I couldn't keep hanging out with some of the people I was hanging out with and maintaining friendships that were with what you would call energy vampires, where you just feel drained afterwards. I also realized I had to start asking for more help from my husband. I had kind of just done everything on my own up until that point, and I couldn't do it anymore. I needed to find a more consistent nanny babysitter at the time. And I really wanted to start working again. That was when I started with my postpartum doula business. But I was so nervous that my husband would be frustrated if I started asking more of him, because he already works so hard in his job and he travels too somewhat. But I just knew I didn't have the bandwidth to keep on the trajectory I was on. I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I finally realized, you know what? That's not on me. My job is to take care of my energy. And in doing so, I then show up as my best self, as the best mother, the best partner, the best everything that I can be. The more I started to honor my boundaries, the more I just ended up saying no to things more than I said yes. And I realized how good it felt. I ended up cutting ties with some friendships that I realized later were pretty toxic. I started asking my husband for more help with household things. Like now he does the grocery run, and it's something I've never enjoyed doing. And also, it just saves me so much time to not have that on my plate every week. At this time, when I had my second, I did end up hiring a new part time sitter so I could go through my postpartum doula training and open my business and get that started. Even though I've talked about this, my original plan was to stay home with the kids for those first few years. I changed my mind and I curated my circle, my schedule, all the things. And now, let's see, that was how many years ago? Gosh, almost 6 years ago. I'm just so much happier for it. The last piece of owning your power, in my opinion, is living your life in a way that feels authentic and true for you. And we've kind of already touched on this. Because again, it means you are the co-creator of your life. So what do you want it to look like? Because a lot of people are still living from someone else's template, from their parents' template or what was shown to them growing up, what's been shown in their community, what's quote normal. But what does success mean to you? What does abundance look like to you? To me, it means living on your own terms. It means we don't let what other people think sway us. Success for me is working for myself, and it's doing something where I'm deeply fulfilled, where I'm using my intuition, where I'm being creative, and where I'm helping women. That's what success is for me, outside of course, like motherhood and marriage and all the other things. But in terms of my career, that's what success looks like for me. I'm not judging my success, at least not at this time, by a dollar amount, like not even a little. I'm judging it by how I feel every single day. I was actually telling my husband the other day, he's like, I don't know, maybe you should start slowing down on your business. You seem to be getting really tired. Because I definitely have my ups and downs. I'm 31 weeks now, almost 32 weeks pregnant with my fourth. But I was like, no, babe, actually, this business and creating this podcast, doing sessions, creating meditations, all of it, it gives me so much energy. It like gives me life force. I feel so connected to my soul and the divine when I'm doing this. I feel like my life matters when I'm helping other women. I mean, it's so important for me. I feel like I would wither away and a piece of me would die if I didn't have this business now. And it's crazy. It's only been 2-ish years. Well, I guess I've been doing the meditations for a few years, but it's just such a huge, fulfilling piece of my life. More and more people, I feel like, are having these epiphanies of, wait, I actually want to move to the middle of nowhere and raise chickens. Or, wait, I actually want to live in a completely different city, even though it doesn't make sense because we just moved here a year ago and I have to move my whole family. But yeah, my intuition is pulling me this way. It doesn't matter if anyone else gets it or not. Listen to my episode with my friend Jess Gray on living an intuitively led life. If you need help with this, she and I dive into it a lot, and she's fantastic at this. But it really doesn't matter if anyone gets it. It's your soul pulling you and potentially your family into alignment. And I always think at the end of my life, do I want to be laying there, hopefully having a very peaceful, drifting off to sleep to die? Do I want to be laying there wishing, man, I wish I had made this move, or I wish I had made this leap, I wish I had done this thing? Or do I want to lay there and be like, wow, I lived a really amazing life. I followed my intuition. I made some seemingly crazy choices that always panned out for my highest good because I followed my soul knowing. And I can say I truly lived. That's what life is about. We're not here to play it safe. We're here to live. I will leave you with that. I hope this inspires you. I feel really lit up right now. I feel like I got to go get my girls from school, but I feel like I want to go, I don't know, run a marathon or something after this baby is born. Not really. You know what I mean? So let me know how this landed and let me know how you're owning your power this year. I'm just so excited for all the people that reach out who listen to this podcast. I have truly, I think, the best listeners and the best clients in the world. So many powerful, strong women. So reach out, touch base with me, say hello, introduce yourself. And I mentioned this in the other episode. I'm creating a conscious women's chat, probably mostly mothers or women on the motherhood track, because that's most of my clients. So follow me on Instagram, the.highvibe.soul. And it's just going to be a free community chat where we can talk about what's going on energetically. We can talk about what owning your power means to you. Talk about whatever you're going through, whatever you feel inspired by. I just want it to be a really high vibe, conscious community of beautiful, like-hearted souls. So with that being said, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the High Vibe Soul podcast. Your support means the world to me. So if you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with a loved one. Sign up for my newsletter and receive 2 free high vibe meditations straight to your inbox. And for more ways to work with me, click the links in the show notes. I would love to hear from you, so send me a message on my Instagram at the.highvibe.soul, and I'll see you next time.